30s, and at that time, recipients are going to take huge cuts in their benefits. So, in effect, the final question I want to ask you in this regard is, and let me start with you, Mr. Trump, would President Trump make a deal to save Medicare and Social Security that included both tax increases and benefit cuts, in effect, a grand bargain on entitlements?
I'm cutting taxes. We're going to grow the economy. It's going to grow at a record rate.
But that's not going to help on entitlements.
It's going to totally help you. And one thing we have to do, repeal and replace the disaster known as Obamacare. It's destroying our country. It's destroying our businesses, our small business, and our big businesses. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare. You take a look at the kind of numbers that will cost us in the year 17. It is a disaster if we don't repeal and replace. Now, it's probably going to die of its own weight, but Obamacare has to go. The premiums are going up 60, 70, 80%. Next year, they're going to go up over 100%. And I'm really glad that the premiums have started. At least the people see what's happening, because she wants to keep Obamacare and she wants to make it even worse. And it can't get any worse. Bad health care at the most expensive price. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare.
And Secretary Clinton, same question, because at this point, Social Security and Medicare are going to run out. The trust funds are going to run out of money. Will you, as president, will you consider a grand bargain, a deal that includes both tax increases and benefit cuts to try to save both programs?
Well, Chris, I am on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources. And that will come from either raising the cap and or finding other ways to get more money into it. I will not cut benefits. I want to enhance benefits for low-income workers and for women who have been disadvantaged by the current Social Security system. But what Donald is proposing with these massive tax cuts will result in a $20 trillion additional national debt. That will have dire consequences for Social Security and Medicare. And I'll say something about the Affordable Care Act, which he wants to repeal. The Affordable Care Act extended the solvency of the Medicare Trust Fund. So if he repeals it, our Medicare problem gets worse. What we need to do is go after the long-term health care drivers. We've got to get costs down, increase value, emphasize wellness. I have a plan for doing that, and I think that we will be able to get entitlement spending under control with more resources and smarter decisions.
This is the final time, probably to both of your delight, that you're going to be on the stage together in this campaign. I would like to end it on a positive note. You had not agreed to closing statements, but it seems to me in a funny way that might make it more interesting because you haven't prepared closing statements. So I'd like you each to take it. We're going to put a clock up, a minute, as the final question in the final debate to tell the American people why they should elect you to be the next president. This is another new mini segment. Secretary Clinton, it's your turn to go first.
Well, I would like to say to everyone watching tonight that I'm reaching out to all Americans, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, because we need everybody to help make our country what it should be, to grow the economy, to make it fairer, to make it work for everyone. We need your talents, your skills, your commitment, your energy, your ambition. You know, I've been privileged to see the presidency up close, and I know the awesome responsibility of protecting our country and the incredible opportunity of working to try to make life better for all of you. I have made the cause of children and families really my life's work. That's what my mission will be in the presidency. I will stand up for families against powerful interests, against corporations. I will do everything that I can to make sure that you have good jobs with rising incomes, that your kids have good educations from preschool through college. I hope you will give me a chance to serve as your president.
Secretary Clinton, thank you. Mr. Trump?
She's raising the money from the people she wants to control. It doesn't work that way. But when I started this campaign, I started it very strongly. It's called Make America Great Again. We're going to make America great. We have a depleted military It has to be helped, has to be fixed. We have the greatest people on earth in our military. We don't take care of our veterans. We take care of illegal immigrants, people that come into the country illegally, better than we take care of our vets. That can't happen. Our policemen and women are disrespected. We need law and order, but we need justice too. Our inner cities are a disaster. You get shot walking to the store. They have no education. They have no jobs. I will do more for African Americans and Latinos than she can ever do in 10 lifetimes. All she's done is talk to the African Americans and to the Latinos. But they get the vote, and then they come back. They say, we'll see you in 4 years. We are going to make America strong again, and we are going to make America great again, and it has to start now. We cannot take 4 more years of Barack Obama, and that's what you get when you get her.
Thank you both. Secretary Clinton, hold on just a moment, folks. Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump, I want to thank you both for participating in all 3 of these debates. That brings to an end this year's debate sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. We want to thank the University of Nevada, Las Vegas and its students for having us. Now the decision is up to you. While millions have already voted, Election Day, November 8th, is just 20 days away. One thing everyone here can agree on, we hope you will go vote. It is one of the honors and obligations of living in this great country. Thank you and good night.
All right, there you have it. Chris Wallace wrapping up the third and final debate. This is, of course, the final showdown before the presidential elections between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. A lot of highs during the debate. Many more lows possibly, because we saw both of them definitely mudslinging at each other over a range of issues. But definitely this debate seeing a lot more issues being discussed as compared to the last one, which was plagued only by the controversies surrounding both Trump as well as Clinton. Immigration possibly the biggest takeaway. That was the biggest debate that we witnessed today. And now, of course, these are the visuals that we're getting you from Las Vegas. Soon after the debate, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, all of them interacting with the crowd and their family members. Hillary Clinton, of course, seen with her daughter as well as Bill Clinton. Trump being joined by his family as well, his daughter, his son, as well as his wife, Melania Trump, right next to him. Let's go across to Smita Sharma joining us live with more details on the story. Smita, what did you first of all make of the debate? You know, this presidential battle over the last few months, we've seen a lot of lows, and possibly this one saw a few as well. 2 candidates were clearly not scared to get down and dirty, to get personal. We've seen Trump calling Clinton a nasty woman during this debate, Clinton calling Trump a puppet. What did you make of the entire debate?
Well, you know, as far as to begin with, Ankita, this third debate is concerned, I thought this was moderated well by Chris Wallace, in fact, and Hillary Clinton did come out as pretty aggressive. Donald Trump, in fact, managed to make some impressive points. You know, the point where he said that Saudi Arab, Qatar are the kind of countries where you see gays being pushed off the terraces. So why doesn't the Clinton Foundation, which has had enormous, in fact, dealings with these countries, why don't they give back the money? But overall, you know, what is interesting is I was sitting actually with a Republican conservative voter. I wouldn't name the person, but Trump wasn't his choice in the Republican camp as a candidate. But he seemed to suggest that the problem is that unlike a Hillary Clinton, of course, who has been close to the system, who's experienced, who's intelligent and articulate, Trump does not believe in preparing for these debates. And his slide really began after the first debate, where he came across as unprepared, and he had taken pride in the fact that he was unprepared for the debate. So, for the undecided voters, I don't think that tonight's debate also has really done much difference. They will still be a little shaky in what side to go and which way to vote for. But in terms of Hillary Clinton supporters, I think tonight after this debate, she definitely managed to consolidate her position even further.
And Smita, that's what you said was possibly the biggest highlight earlier as well of this particular debate, that the unclinched voters, the undecided ones, will possibly get some sort of clarity as to who to choose between Trump and Clinton in this third debate. And let's take that forward. Also joining us now is Prerna Thakur Desai. She's been tracking, of course, the entire battle as it's been going down over the last few months. Prerna, what did you make of this debate? And as Smita pointed out, you know, this comes down to the undecided voters. The third and final debate could possibly help them, possibly the last opportunity for them really to decide on who they will side with. Do you think that either Trump or Hillary, one of them made some sort of headway in this particular space?
to, state the obvious. First is that it was an uncharacteristically civil debate, and that perhaps points to the fact that both candidates were trying to appeal to the undecided voters who are kind of, bored and annoyed with all the name calling and all the violence that's happening on television. So, to start with, yes, it was a very civil debate. But on the second point, both candidates tried to please their bases. And, essentially when it comes to the third party candidate, I presume it would still be very difficult for them to make a decision. Because when you look at what Trump said, he stuck true to his Second Amendment about, the calls on abortion, Supreme Court justices, immigration. And Hillary Clinton was, equally liberal when it came to LGBT rights, when it came to abortion and Planned Parenthood. So it's going to be a very difficult, with just 20 days left and this being the final debate, it would still, I believe, be a little difficult for the undecided voters to really crack the code and decide on which candidate to really choose from it, at the conclusion of this debate.
Right. Prerna, stay on with us. We saw a lot of points really being discussed during this debate, but one of the key highlights possibly was the debate about immigration between Trump and Clinton. We're going to play out the highlights, after which I'll go quickly to Smita for more.
First of all, those stories have been largely debunked. Those people, I don't know those people. I have a feeling how they came. I believe it was her campaign that did it. Just like if you look at what came out today on the clips, where I was wondering what happened with my rally in Chicago and other rallies where we had such violence. She's the one in Obama that caused the violence. They hired people, they paid them $1,500, and they're on tape saying, be violent, cause fights, do bad things. I would say the only way, because those stories are all totally false. I have to say that.
Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity, their self-worth, and I don't think there is a woman anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like. So we now know what Donald thinks and what he says and how he acts toward women. That's who Donald is.
All right, so we'll play out that face-off over the immigration issue in just a bit. But what you just heard was the counter to Trump over the issue of the allegations against him. Remember, a number of women over the recent past have come out and said that Trump misbehaved with them, groped them, misbehaved in the worst possible manner with them. He's dismissed all of it, saying that it's absolute lie. In his words, he said it's fiction and lies. Smita, over the last few days, Trump has literally been cornered by these allegations. A lot of women, in fact, have come out and made scary allegations really against him. How do you think this will play out? Do you think this could be that one issue that brings him down in the election?
Look, as far as that tape conversation is concerned, where he was seen making lewd remarks about groping women against their consent, and which he called simply a locker room banter. Now, that definitely caused a huge slide. Forget the overall, in fact, voting percentage. We saw the kind of huge slide that it caused in the Republican camp itself, with a lot of Republican leaders actually having to come to the fore to try and condemn these statements and say that they were not on Trump with this. And there was an entire campaign effort to try and say that, look, the personality is different, look at the policy. And then Trump went on to say, we saw Melania Trump also come out and give interviews and say that that was just a male talk, but it's not like he has really done something. But I can tell you, I'm in Hawaii, Ankita, and I've been talking to a lot of people, Trump supporters or people who are Republicans but do not like Trump, and they say that they are really worried because this is the first time that there's a U.S. presidential election where parents are not sure whether children should really watch the debate, keeping in mind the kind of language that might just spring up. So, and on certain issues, in fact, it almost sounded like Indian elections tonight, when Trump was talking about rigging of elections or talking about political violence, which he accused that it was the Hillary camp that was actually inciting it in Chicago. And the most troublesome part was when Trump was asked that if he loses the election, will he accept the results? Where he said that I'm not, I'll keep you guessing, the suspense is on, because that is definitely going to baffle a lot of voters. And that's not something that America has seen in the past in its elections, at least. But the opponents have said that I'm not going to accept the election results, perhaps, if it does not go my way.
And what's symbolic really of how US and America feels about these allegations against Trump is when he said, I respect women. We're going to play out exactly what was the reaction to that. Listen in.
Mr. Trump.
Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody. Nobody has more respect.
Please, everybody.
And frankly, those stories have been largely debunked. And I really want to just talk about something slightly different. She mentions this, which is all fiction, all fictionalized, probably or possibly started by her and her very sleazy campaign.
Prerna, I don't know if you managed to catch that, but immediately after he said nobody has greater respect for women than him, there was a chuckle of sorts that came in from the audience. What is the general consensus really in America about the issue of Trump and the allegations against him? He claims they're lies, of course, besides that taped conversation. But what is the feeling among Americans? Don't women feel unsafe that this man could be the next president?
Well, that would be a larger statement to make whether women feel unsafe or not. However, whether you want a president who feels this about women is a question that's been discussed almost every single day on dinner tables, in fundraisers, or absolutely any meetings that are being had. Ever since the tape that came out, where Trump was making those disparaging remarks about a woman, his campaign has been in absolute shambles since that day. He's been, trying to salvage the situation by coming out and saying, as he did today, that nobody has respect for women. And you heard, people sniggering in the audience. And even in fact, when he said that all those allegations are false, let me also point out that PolitiFact and NPR, which have been fact-checking this debate, have said that nothing has been proven as yet. So those allegations are not considered false. So even Trump saying that, the false allegations is really brushing the issue aside when he's trying to, clearly avoid that issue. Women voters, there's another website called 538, which records the kind of polling that is happening in the US. And it said that if women were to vote, overwhelmingly, the majority of women would vote for Hillary Clinton and not for Donald Trump. And all states would really look blue as compared to red if only the men were supposed to vote in the United States. Okay. So that clearly tells you the direction in which the women, especially in this election, are feeling and voting.
Well, that's an interesting statistic that you brought to us. If women voters had a chance, and if only they voted, it would be Hillary Clinton on the way. Request Prerna and Smita to stay on with us. We're going to have to slip into a short final debate that just took place between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, a 90-minute long debate that discussed a range of issues, and of course a lot more civil than what we witnessed the last time around. The camaraderie between the two was clearly icy. You could see that the two refused to shake hands, refused to even acknowledge each other initially, and at the end, those are the visuals we're getting you of Trump and Hillary Clinton shaking hands with Chris Wallace, the moderator, but refusing to shake hands with each other. We're discussing one issue after another. Of course, there are allegations against the two which were discussed in great detail during the debate, but right now let's also play out exactly what both Hillary and Trump had to say about Russia and Vladimir Putin. Listen in.
I don't know Putin. He said nice things about me. If we got along well, that would be good. If Russia and the United States got along well and went after ISIS, that would be good. He has no respect for her. He has no respect for our president.
Rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit that the Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America, that you encouraged espionage against our people.
Across to our deputy editor Smita, who's joining us on the story. Smita, time and again, even in the last debate, we saw Russia being raised time and again between Hillary Clinton and Trump. What really does this signify? Not just, of course, that Russia is emerging as huge power against US, but also as far as the elections are concerned, it looks like Russia will be a key factor for voters as well.
I think Russia will not really be a key factor for people who are undecided, because people are voting more on domestic issues. They're voting more on economic issues, on tax breaks, on job creations, on women's rights, the entire issue of abortion to, of course, gun laws. But yes, Russia becomes a significant, and I'm sure Vladimir Putin or Lavrov, his foreign minister, they would all be smiling through these debates. Now, remember, in the past, in the debates, of course, Donald Trump has claimed time and again that he does not know Putin, that he has never met him. But there were, in fact, some interviews that were pulled out, from the archives of Donald Trump, done by Russian TV stations, where he had said that, yes, Donald Trump, he had said that Vladimir Putin is actually a very good friend of mine. But I do think that there is a degree of trying to externalize the problems here when both the candidates name up a China or, a Russia. Hillary Clinton, they're going on and on about how illegally dumped Chinese steel is something that Donald Trump has been using in building his Trump towers. So there is more to do with, I think the externalizing of issues that they're not being able to deal with domestically, because at the end of the day for Hillary also, she does have that legacy of the Obama years at the moment, which in a way can lead to the anti-incumbency function, and add to that the years of Bill Clinton in office, which were of course also very controversial as well.
And a quick word from you as well, Prerna. Why do you think this particular issue of Russia keeps being raked up during the debates, and it's going beyond international relations, isn't it? It's going down to mudslinging, it's going down to Putin, it's going down, of course, to these leaders being named in the debates.
Well, absolutely. Russia does seem to feature very prominently in the debates, and personally, I think it's only it's being used as arsenal against each other. Now, look at the way Russia was used by both the candidates. Trump used it, when the debate was extremely peaceful. He tried to incite Hillary Clinton by saying that Vladimir Putin has completely outsmarted Hillary Clinton. That's the way Trump tried to get Hillary Clinton to be agitated. How did Hillary Clinton use Russia in her debate? When she was asked the question on WikiLeaks, the question on Clinton Foundation, the very important question that have been on people's minds these days, ever since WikiLeaks released those emails, she pivoted that question to towards Russia, saying that Donald Trump is using Russian espionage to use in his campaign against her. So Russia is really being used as, a toy by both the candidates really against each other to test each other's nerves, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Prerna and Smita, request you to stay on with us. Slipping into a short break at this point. On the other side, at the top of 8:30.